Marvin, can you, I don't know what we call it, moderate or whatever, just log in on your phone and just. Sure. People don't tell us the microphone's not working. We had black screen for like 20 minutes. Nobody mentions it. We go home, we just doesn't say anything.
False.
Look at that, Marvin. The screen's black. Nobody said anything. Oh, God. Is it live right now?
Shoot.
10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Did you have the Christmas tree lighting the other night, Scott?
Good thing I didn't go there.
What a bad scene.
That's all over the national news, too.
Oh, it's all over international news.
Apparently there was issues at 2 locations.
What happened?
There's a shooting.
Oh, really?
Right in front of the Chicago Theater, and then a couple blocks down. Yeah.
Test, test. Can you guys hear that?
I can hear
It's
you.
not live.
It's not live. There seems to be a
Wait,
delay.
say something again.
Test, test. There's a little bit of a lag. I can see the mic.
I do hear something.
Oh, wait, I hear it is. I just heard it.
But it's not what you're saying. Oh, it's very laggy.
It's lagging. Let me see. Let me check the settings.
You're just talking about the Christmas trees now.
Oh, great.
Now it's the Christmas trees.
It's to be lagged. It's like.
Yeah, it's like a minute behind. Hello.
Oh, we're just waiting for the name tags.
Yeah.
They're not here.
Okay, yeah, I would just need to add a note to.
They'll be here in a minute.
It's working, it's just laggy.
Hi,
How are you?
good, how are
It's
you?
normally not
What do you
that
have
bad.
there?
It's a turtle heater.
Oh, turtle here.
Yeah.
For turtles.
Well, it's preset, so you can't adjust it.
Yeah.
But I figured if people
I
could
guess lag is
either
fine.
often like turtles or
I've
use it for
fostered some box turtles.
But not really
Yeah.
affected. I mean, you
But
don't
they're just sitting
necessarily
in
have to
the
ask
coconut
questions.
court.
It is. If
Yeah.
you want to interact with the people.
They're not the most active pet yet.
Well, you know, they're inside now, so they'll walk around, and I'll hear them scratching, so I give them food. They get lettuce, worms,
You guys
and
can
then they'll
check
go
their
back and
today,
dig in their
too.
foyer.
I might be,
Yeah.
I
And
would
just
do
Not
it.
very excited.
hibernate for the day.
I think
It's
it's
kind of like all of us, to be honest, right?
Oh, yeah.
Account on YouTube. I don't know what it's all about.
It's hard to.
Yeah, for a long time, I used to put a mat,
Are you in there?
a propagation mat
No,
for plants,
somebody else
in
is
the tank,
in
that
there.
would warm it.
Oh,
I
okay.
keep it like at 70.
I'm in there.
Oh, okay.
I kept tropical turtles a while when you could get
There we
them.
go. Oh, ultra low latency.
I don't know, Grim Adventure in Hoffman Estates is this giant model. I would buy it, I have nowhere to put it.
Yeah.
But, you know, the thing is, you know, it's as big as a seat,
Mhm.
but they need lots of food,
Yeah.
like 1,000 gallons. Years ago,
It's
I worked for somebody, I do gardening, so I was in Barrington Hills, and the guy had and he had 3 of them in pot, he burned them in for the winter.
Mhm.
And a big
The screen you have up right
swimming
now.
pool, it was like a resistible, but they built another part of the house, they used it like for a cottage.
Okay, let me see.
And the turtles would be in there. But the water was cold, because they just sit, you know,
Yeah.
they sit really in the water,
Yeah.
their noses up.
But it'll take a while for it to.
They're not very exciting to keep, I mean, they don't do much.
Yeah.
Do you want to mute this sound right now?
Yeah.
They swallow that goldfish like crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you can still get them in South Florida, a couple people that breed them, babies like this big are $900.
Yeah. Well, that's good, to be honest.
Right. I mean, mute
Yeah.
the mic.
hate
There's
seeing
something like that.
No,
the turtles
Mike's right here.
and their
It's.
You want to
babies
mute it
being
so they're not picking
cheap
up all the
because people don't
background
know what
sound?
they're getting into. And
It's not too bad.
so it's better when
It's not
the
really
babies,
picking up too much.
Okay.
turtles and things are so expensive.
Hello, come on in.
How are you?
Good. Hi, Joanne. Good to see you.
Yeah. Hey, Joanne.
How are you?
You guys figured it out?
Yeah.
I think so.
You know, even with the ultra low latency, there's a bit of a lag.
Maybe it's.
How are things going?
So it's the internet here, maybe? I don't know.
I'm sorry?
Maybe it's the internet here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this here.
Is it in the cup or is it? Did you take it out? No, I put it out. I got the picture on. still very good. Yeah. Really? Yeah. Oh. You should take.
Well, it's not
dying. Okay, but it's not dying. That's good.
Oh,
Does it have? Is it putting out bee leaves? I guess. Have you seen it? I think you. Heather.
Well,
Okay.
How are you today?
That's good. And if it's still very good, that's a really good sign. Okay.
that's not it. It's output. Yeah, it's already on. This is the optimized settings and stuff that they.
It's all good.
Yeah. I mean, we always had a little bit of a latency issue.
There always is. But
Yeah.
It's definitely.
The last time it was really bad, but it's already set up to do the ultra low, so we should be in
Yeah. So
fairly
maybe
good shape.
Marvin could just be on your phones and
Yep.
just listen.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I think I mean, realistically, I think we're all set, and when we're ready to go to start recording, we just come over here and hit start record, and it'll pick it up. But I think let's go through all the meeting stuff. And
Oh yeah, we can just do
'Cause-
start recording right after.
last time I hit it, and all of the meeting stuff was recorded.
Okay, so as
Like,
long as we time it correctly,
Yeah.
then we don't have to go and crop.
yeah, exactly,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, I didn't realize like, oh,
Okay,
I guess I should have
so
waited.
we should just, because it's easy to forget. We'll just all like try to
Yeah,
remember.
yeah. But yeah, I think we're all set up because I can hear it on my
Here's the
YouTube.
mic. So
Yep.
if I put this here, it should work, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And to advance, just space bar. Or
So if you come over here and listen, you should be able to just advance by going that. Let's see. So you should be able to advance just by hitting this button. Back and forth, left and right.
Betha's coming. No, she's running late. She's coming.
All right, so let's go back.
Can I go to presentation mode instead of showing everything? Can I go back? Go to presentation mode.
Yeah, you can do that.
Can I get rid of? How do I get rid of this? I don't really need this stuff. I just need a full screen so I can see.
Display settings, so you can do. I believe you just.
Click that. Is that anything?
Yeah, that's it.
No, let's see. Space bar work? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Because otherwise, I'm gonna be hard. I'm gonna walk around a little bit, but not.
Okay.
Just to go back and forth.
Yeah.
Point to the screen. Yeah, this is it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. We're in good shape then.
Yeah, I think so. Slideshow. All right, there we go.
So it's almost one.
Yeah. Okay.
Gotta wait till that.
Yeah. Lock her out of here. Jeez.
What do you have on the
Oh,
raffle?
huh?
What do you have on the raffle today?
The plants are actually. The rest of it, I'm gonna bring over. Yeah, just small raffle.
I think I gave you a break. You're not doing that.
Yeah, I probably can use a break today.
Well, back to the raffle.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hello.
Okay.
We do have name tags today. They're just running a little late. They'll be here in a minute.
Oops. Oops.
The shirt man. Yep. Right there in the corner.
Oh, what's up?
Shirts. I want to get
Some shirts.
Oh, okay.
Next time, maybe?
Yeah, I didn't bring them with me because
Yeah.
there's some questions always about what we can sell when we're at libraries.
Oh, really? In the parking lot.
Yeah, I can do that. Are
Yeah,
you going
good
to
one.
the holiday party, do you know?
I can't make the holiday party.
What about the swap? Can you come to
I
the
will
swap?
be, yeah, I'll be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's chat and we'll figure out what
Okay.
you want.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in the bag.
Hi.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Thank you guys for coming. Kind of a nice day to be in,
Yeah.
stuck inside, but it's a good topic. It's going to be a real good one. We haven't. So I can't remember the last time we had a Dutch aquascaping talk.
I think it might have
Years.
been this room.
Was it
Bart Lawrence?
Bart Lorenz?
Right after COVID. We came first meeting back, or second meeting back.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So, how many years is that now? 5 years? 4 years? 3, 4?
Something like that.
Okay. Guess we can. Do we want to get started or wait on Beth? And she may be here a little
We
later.
don't know what it is.
Yeah, we don't, that's.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get started then. Rich. Oh, thank you guys for coming. Especially on, like I said, a really beautiful day outside. Should be a great meeting. I'm looking forward to this. It's been a long time since we've done a Dutch aquascaping talk, so very much looking forward to it. I'm going to start off with some club business. I'm just kind of let you guys know where we're at in terms of the club. Start out with Rich, our treasurer. He's going to kind of go through the financial report for the club.
Do I have to be in front of a camera or anything? No. Okay. So, you can see where we are, 22,175.69. Right now we have about 6,500 that is for immediate use kept in our Chase account. And then the rest of that, about a year ago, just so you guys know what's going on, we put that into a Schwab money market fund. It's the best investment we can do based on being a not-for-profit organization. But we've
Actually,
made
we want CDs.
CDs. Sorry,
Yeah.
my bad.
We can't do a money
Sorry, we can't. We looked in the money market.
Right.
We can't do that. But that's made us a little over $400 in the past few years. So that's half of our last swap, which was good. We had a really good September swap. That was about $1,300 that we pulled in for the group. The October one was a little bit lower. It was a little bit quieter. We pulled in about $800-900 for that one. So things are coming along. We do have an expense we just paid that's not included in here, $850 for the down payment for our holiday party, which we'll be talking about. We've got a great new caterer for that. I think you'll know the name. And a lot of good things going on. So keep those memberships coming. As you can see, 217 paid members. So that's getting us, it's $15 for a full year membership. And we'll talk about the fact that that gets you into the holiday party at no cost, which is a blast. And really provides just a lot of money to our organization every year. So any questions on where we are in terms of the treasury, how we're spending our money?
You're doing a good job, Rich.
Well, I try to be transparent, so. Okay, thank you.
Then one of the things that Rich did mention is that a lot of the membership, not only the swap, that the money that we get from the swap, but also our membership fees They go toward not only the holiday party, but we have a Wabikusa workshop coming up in, I think, March this year, since April is going to be the AGA convention. I'll kind of talk about that, but also any of the special members only events, we usually try to have one in addition to the Wabikusa. So that gets you into these really fun events, and it pays for all these different things that we can do for the club. Okay, I'm going to hand it off to Joanne now to kind of go through some of the upcoming things coming up.
Okay, so in December, coming up soon, is the GCCA swap meet, 6 times a year. We're there at every meet. So if you want to buy plants, we have a lot more plants for sale there than what you see here for free. So if you're looking for specific things, or, you know, let us know. We can try and find it for you, but we have a lot of plants for sale at the swap. If you want to donate, that's Scott. Commercial. If you want to donate, contact Scott, because we'd appreciate any donation, and that goes directly to our bottom line and helps fund us for the following year. Okay, and then the big one, of course, is the holiday party and silent auction. So you must be a paid member to attend, and as Rich mentioned, it's only 15 bucks a year, so it's really small. And this year we're having catered Maggiano's food. So it should be really good, and you know, 15 bucks is pretty small actually when you think about it, because you can bring a guest to our holiday party, and both of you can have dinner on us. So we also have a silent auction, and I don't know how many of you have been to our silent auction before, but I made a list of all the things that have been donated so far, if you're wondering what is in the silent auction this year. So let me just read that real quick. And these are the ones we know about, and we will have more obviously in the next coming weeks as we get closer. So we have APT Fix and APT Fertilizers. If you're familiar with the 2-hour aquarist, who is Dennis Wong, that's his very popular fertilizers, and an algicide, which Beth is not here, but Beth loves it.
Beth is here!
Beth loves APT Fix. She swears by it, okay? If you have an algae problem, ask Beth how to use APT Fix. We have Beyond the Reef has donated gift cards to us. Boost Plant, one of our favorite stores, has donated gift cards to us. Bulk Reef Supply donated a heater, an RODI system, which I always do every year, and a temperature controller. Carib Sea donated gravel, CO2 art. I don't know, we don't know what yet, but they donated something. Phoenix donated a light. Fish Planet does donating gift cards. Oase, who's one of our big sponsors, is donating a 250 biotherm filter, which is a very expensive filter. They donated it to us, and some other things, including substrate this year. Pisces, who sponsored our Wabikusa event, they have wood and gravel, really beautiful stuff. They're donating probably gravel, I'm guessing. Seven Ports is also donating to us. They have a whole bunch of array of things, including tanks. So we don't know yet, but they are donating to us. Tamsco, which is our, they make tools, aquascaping tools. They're donated a set. Tropica, I don't know what they're donating. We hope it's substrate, but hopefully plants too. But Tropica is donating, committed to donate. Lulu's Pet Supply donated a small UNS 5-gallon tank, which I'm just really thrilled about, because those are great little tanks. Let's see, Varun, who you probably know, is our shrimp guy. And he's donated Caridina. He's also got Neo Caridina in the donation. And Michael, in our group, is donating a hang-on back filter and some other things. So anyway, just if you've never been to our holiday party before, the silent auction starts at half of retail. Okay, so this is like a huge fundraiser for us, but you also get top-rated quality products at very discounted prices. And we'll only do that at the silent auction. You will never see us sell this stuff at the swap. So if you can make it, it's on December 13th. Starts at 5 o'clock in the Friendship Park Conservatory in Des Plaines. And again, we have Maggiano's catered food. If you're a paid member, you can bring someone with you. It's always a fun time. And the silent auction is really fun. That's my favorite part. If you want to donate anything, they're all new items. So if you want to donate anything, just let me know.
My favorite comment last year was Jason Lebowski, who said, "Man, you guys really know how to do a holiday party."
Yeah, Jason, you probably know Jason. He's the president of the GCCA. Yeah, so also the Wabikusa contest is still on and nearing the end. Scott, you want to say a couple things about it?
So,
Yeah.
so this is our last month to submit for the Wabikusa contest. So deadline is November 30th. Anybody have any last minute questions? So just remember, there's cash prizes. There's still time. All you just need is one decent photo and submit. It's not a real serious competition. Anybody can submit. Don't worry think yours isn't good enough or something. Just submit, give it a try. Just 2 reminders. Make sure there's a water feature visible. Doesn't need to be big, just a little bit of water. Don't make the judges have to guess if there's water or not in there. And then the second is just make sure you're not using any terrestrial plants. If you used all plants from the workshop, you should be covered. All those were aquatic plants. But those are the 2 areas where you might get disqualified. So if you have any questions about that, just feel free to shoot me a message. I'll try to clarify that. Otherwise, you submit on the website. That's all open. It'll close end of the day, November 30th. Any questions?
I'm also going to mention that we have 3 plants in the back, and some of them are immersed. So my recommendation, if you have a Wabikusa ball not looking so hot, swap out the plants with what is in the back. That is a quick way to freshen up your Wabikusa. All we need is 1 photo, upload it to the website. I mean, it's that simple, and you can win cash.
Was there anyone here who was at the Wabikusa?
Yeah.
Okay.
So check the plants in the back. If yours are not looking so great, swap them out.
Coming up in Sacramento in April 23rd through the 26th, actually, that should be a correction there, in Sacramento, California. And this is basically an opportunity for all the people who are aquatic plants, into aquatic plants, are going to come in here and come to the meeting, get a chance to hang out with a lot of experts in the field, and get a chance to really interact with people that are the like mind. We have some excellent speakers coming up this year. We have some postcards in the back if you're interested. We have Dave Chow, that is a ADA aquascaper. He's been around the world, done a bunch of demos, has a YouTube channel. He's absolutely phenomenal. I've watched him work before. Michelle Conray is going to be at the convention talking about nutrients and stuff, and so water quality. She is one of our board members, and we're absolutely thrilled that she's going to present. Some other talks are native aquatic plants. Chance Kramer, some of you guys may know him. He is going to be talking about native plants from the U.S. and specifically where they are, how well they do in the aquarium. So that's actually a talk that I'm very, very excited about. And hopefully, if it's a good talk, I'm going to try to bring him here. We'll have him kind of talk about some of the stuff related to what's around this area. But just if you get a chance to, I'm sorry?
If you're into aquatic plants at all and you can pull this off, go.
It is a lot of fun.
You just have all aquatic plants all weekend, great people. Balin is right on target here. He convinced me to go quite a few years ago. I'm like, I don't know. It was a blast.
It is a lot of fun. All weekend. Sunday is going to be the big auction, huge auction. Plants that you have never seen in the hobby will be they'll be up for sale on in the auction. A lot of really cool products. A lot of the sponsors coming in with their current products and stuff. So it's a great way to kind of figure out what's going on in the aquatic hobby, seeing what people have to offer. And just quickly, we have some talks lined up for next year. Obviously, if you guys haven't been on the Facebook page, I put up a poll. Go in there, vote. I think so far the nutrient balance or CO2, simplifying CO2 seems to be a very popular one. And what we've done in the past is talk about CO2. I've come in, set up a CO2 system so people can understand how to work it, how to put it together. It's very, very simple. And not as scary as people think it is. So we'll kind of go through some of that stuff and talk about different ways of doing CO2 in the tank.
Well, that reminds me, we have a CO2 regulator.
Yes.
In the silent auction.
Well, there we go.
It's a dual stage.
Dual stage, dual output.
Yeah.
So it's a nice one. You guys don't want to bid on that one. That's
That's a really nice one.
That sounds fishy.
No, not at all. So, yep, there will be a lot of cool stuff coming up for the next year. Tristan Watson has already agreed to be one of our speakers, coming in to talk about nanofish, and then we're going to try to work it so that we can get Brandon McLean out of Florida Aquatic Nurseries, kind of come in, give us a talk about how he runs his nurseries and how they propagate their plants and stuff. We're going to get a chance to see him at the convention, so I will definitely try to get him here for our convention.
Yeah. And he's the one that donated all plants for the Wabi.
He's a huge supporter. Yep.
Yeah, one of the biggest plant suppliers right in the US.
Yep.
It's Fan and Tropica.
In a Panera back room. It's a private room way in the back, about 15 of us, and it's just kind of grown since that point. It's been a lot of fun. Scott's been an integral part of this club, and he has taken on the challenge of doing aquascaping for Dutch style. What year did you take second place in the aquascape?
2017.
2017. He had a beautiful aquascape in that year in the AGA aquascaping contest, and beautiful aquascape. And he's going to give us a talk about all the nuances and difficulties of running a Dutch aquascape. So without further ado, let me go ahead and close out of this. Okay, I'm going to start the recording. Okay. Okay, and you wanted to just like this. Okay, perfect. Here you go. My glasses.
Okay, for everybody at home, if you can't see the screen or can't hear us, just stop or send us a chat. We'll try to fix that. Okay, so like Balin said, I'm Scott Miller. We'll be talking about the Dutch style. So has anyone dabbled in the Dutch style at all yet?
Oh, the display settings.
Oh, I think it's switched. Let's see.
It's showing up now.
Is it recording?
Yeah.
Is that different than the Ligon style? 50
Which
years
style?
ago, we used to call it Ligon style.
I don't know if I'm familiar with that, honestly.
Okay.
Balin, do you know that?
I've never heard of that one.
Maybe we'll talk about that later on, Robert. I'm not familiar with that one. Okay, so first off, I just want to acknowledge a few people and a couple organizations that have helped me with the presentation and also helped me while I was kind of developing, this style and how learning more about it. So first off, Bart Lawrence, who's in the Netherlands, who's a big mentor to me. Vin Cuddy, Tom Barr, Omid, Tim Gross, Micah Miller, Joe Harvey, Sohan Patel, and then the Aquatic Gardeners Association, and then the NBAT, which is their organization over in the Netherlands. Okay, so there's always been some kind of confusion about the Dutch style. When I started with doing this back in like 2016, 2017, there was very little information out there. It was really hard to find. You kind of had to like know somebody and like talk to them, or it was really challenging. It's gotten a lot easier now, but so just to kind of talk about a couple things. So for the audience, for everybody, so that just a thought, does the Dutch style focuses on highly brightly colored, flashy plants? What do you guys think? Yes, no? How about yes? Raise your hand. Okay, yes.
It can help.
Can help. Okay, how about no? No? All right, so we got a few more no's. Okay, so I would say it's false. No, we don't want to just focus on those brightly colored, flashy plants. We definitely use them in the Dutch style, but I wouldn't say that's the focus. We got to focus as well on the green plants as well, and I think the green plants is actually kind of where the emphasis is, or where you need to focus your thinking on. How about hardscape? Can we use hardscape in Dutch style at all? So what do you guys think? Yes, raise your hand, yes. No, we can't use any hardscape. Okay, so you can use hardscape, and I didn't realize that either. It's more minimal usage though. It's not like nature style. It's not going to be the emphasis. The emphasis is on the plants, and oftentimes if we're going to use hardscape, you're going to be putting mosses or epiphytes. You're going to be using it more for like the structure and to attach plants to. We'll talk more about that. And then thirdly, the back and the side glass of the aquarium need to be completely 100% covered. What do you guys think? Yes? Yes? No? All right, so about 50-50. So this one's a little tough. I would say it's probably false, but for the most part, that's true. You're going to really cover the vast majority of the back glass and the back aquarium and the sides, but you can have a little bit open to help create depth. Okay, we'll talk about that. So years ago when I did like a search of like the Dutch style, this is what would come up, okay? These aquariums, they're fantastic, amazing plants, everything. I wouldn't say they're Dutch though. They're kind of Dutch inspired, semi-Dutch, you know, like they got this really nice carpet, but it's along the whole front. That's not really Dutch. They got big open spaces. That's not Dutch. Things like that, okay? So, but when you Google search, this is what you'll find. So it can be confusing if you're not sure what you're looking at. So Tom Barr was nice enough to let me use this photo. So this is his tank from years ago. I think he shut this down a few years ago. I really like this aquarium a lot. In this aquarium, he really has some elements of Dutch. He has like streets and the contrasting colors and a few other things. But it's not really Dutch. It's like a semi-Dutch, Dutch-inspired. I really love this tank. The plants are always amazingly healthy, and the colors and everything. But once again, it's Dutch-inspired. And if you don't want to go full-blown Dutch style, that's fine. You can do like take some elements from the Dutch style. If you're not interested in competing or anything like that, you can do something like this and totally do an amazing tank. So let's talk about like what we kind of talked about, like what maybe the Dutch style isn't. Let's talk about what it is. So it was developed in the Netherlands in the 1930s. So this is well before nature style, well before Takashi Amano came to the scene. I love the nature style, but this is significantly before that. It was created by the National Dutch Society for Aquarists. So they've had that organization for a long time, and it's shortened for the NBAT. So if you hear me say NBAT, that's what this stands for. They hold a yearly competitions in 6 categories. So they have category A1, A2. Those are freshwater categories. The top one, A1, is the Dutch category, kind of like the first one they did. The special category, I believe, is more like biotope. They have a few type of like biotope or specialized aquariums. I haven't looked too much into that one. They have saltwater. They have terrarium, pond, and I think the most recent one they added in is aquascaping, which I think is a little bit more like encompassing like nature style and some of the other styles. I think they wanted to bring in some of the other styles as part of the competition as well. So that's kind of how it's broken down. So, it's sort of similar to like how the AGA breaks things down into categories. So you don't have like Dutch competing with nature. You don't have like, saltwater competing with freshwater, that type of thing. So if I go on the website and you try to look at like back to some of their early like photos and competitions, this is the oldest one they have on the website right now for the NBAT. So this is the national inspection, the national competition winner from 1963 for the NBAT. So, I mean, to me, I'm pretty impressed. I mean, look at the plants. I know it's kind of hard because it's black and white photo, but the plants look pretty good to me. And then this is also his tank. The reason the top looks a little funny is 2 photos. I kind of squished together. They had like a left and a right side, but that's the layout he has. And then the Dutch do this thing where a lot of times and other people will do this as well, they'll put like, draw out their layout ahead of time, and they'll put numbers on there, and then they'll kind of list the plants. So what's really interesting to me is if you look, I know it's a little hard to see, but if you look closely at the plant list, like some of these names, either I don't recognize at all, or like they have different genus. So this is far enough back that they've changed things over time. Like some of these plants have been recategorized, the names have changed. Maybe they were wrong at that time, but yeah. So it's pretty interesting. Then we get to 1973 NBAT. So these are not the same tank. There's a few different submissions here. But as you can kind of see there, you can see that they use this furniture. A lot of times this is custom built furniture they build around the tanks. This is kind of traditionally what they do. We got a color photo here, and similar with that layout and the plant list.
Like a shadow box.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. And just stop me if you guys have any questions. But that's okay. So it's 73. Then we got to 83. This is the winner from the national inspection, 83. This is 2000. So I know some of the photos aren't amazing quality, but just to give you kind of an idea. Then we have 2002. I thought this was pretty interesting. It's like kind of like built into the wall. Yeah, I think it could be challenging to maintenance for sure. This is one of my favorite Dutch aquascapers. This was 2008 winner. And then a little bit more recently, we got 2018 winner for the NBAT. So I really do like this layout. I mean, everything's pretty much done like spot on with this layout. The one thing I really like, I think is kind of interesting, is they have this valve kind of going almost across the whole top of the tank. And I just thought that was kind of different. I mean, sometimes I like it, I don't like it, I don't know. It's different though. So sometimes if you you want to win a competition, you got to take a little bit of a calculated risk to see. Sometimes it plays out, sometimes it doesn't. So in the NBAT competition, so it's very different than most other aquascaping competitions. The judges actually physically come to your house, okay, and they complete what they call an inspection. This is not just like a photo contest competition. This is where they actually come, they assess the health of the plants in person, they assess the health of the fish, they even test your water. So you can't really hide anything. There's no like mirrors and, like, okay, angles and all this stuff. No Photoshops, nothing like that. This is all going to be like, really, they're going to be looking at it very closely. So they consider like the furniture and how it's like placed in the room and the scale to the room, which, is maybe a little much, but that's kind of traditionally what they've done. And you can see how they've built these furnitures around the tanks is traditionally what they do. So if you're in the Netherlands, you'll be able to compete in the NBA competition. For the rest of us, we're not going to be able to do that. So what we can compete in is the AGA IAC. So it's the Aquatic Garden Association International Aquascaping Contest. So like Balin said, it's our US kind of based organization, but it's an international organization and contest. And they also have, in one of the categories, they have the Dutch category. So then that's only a photo contest. You can submit some additional info, but it's a photo contest. They don't come to your house. And people from all over the world submit their Dutch photos and layouts to this competition. So, like I said, back in 2017, when I first learned about this and was competing, the information was hard to find. But the AGA was kind of trying to organize things a little bit with the scoring and try to guide people on what the style is and what it isn't. So they have these judging guidelines, which there's a little bit more information on the website right now, but this is pretty much how the scoring works and what the judges look at. So first off is like overall impression, which is a maximum of 50 points. There's composition, maximum of 60 points. So that's the balance, use of space, use of color. So we do use, some of you have probably heard like rule of thirds in aquascaping and when you're doing like a tank layout. So the Dutch do use that as well, and also looking at a focal point. Are the plants well grouped? Are the groups well defined? There should be a small space between the groupings. Do they use a good use of different colors as leaf size, shape, height to create contrast? Do they use differences in the height and plant groups to create a sense of flow and depth? So that's also similar to nature style, and that's where they kind of, some of this is from the nature style is pulled from the Dutch. Still, they look very different, but some of the elements are similar. Does the course effectively use differences? Actually, I already said that. Anybody heard of like a plant street, what they refer to? So it's kind of those strips of plants that kind of go from front to back. We'll talk about that. So you need to use at least one street. And then like I was saying about the backs and the sides of the tank, they should be mostly covered. And then there's 50 points to use of plants, hardscape materials, and then the animals. So technically, you're supposed to have no more than one plant species per 10 centimeters, or which is about 4 inches of tank length. So that's not a lot. Now, you could potentially bump that up a little bit. If you look on the AGA page, it says potentially up to 2 species per 4 inches, but it's going to kind of depend on how big your tank is. You got to be careful about not overdoing it. One other point is you need schooling fish is sufficient to make a suitable school. So they define that as, NBAT defines that as like 12 fish. If there's hardscape material present, are they used kind of sparingly like I was talking about? You could use usually you'll say like either wood or rock. A lot of times you'll see them using more wood, and it might have some moss on there. I'll show you some examples. And then in other competitions as well, they have the viability of the aquascape. So you don't want like a tank that you set up like yesterday and then it can only run like a day or two or like a week. Like it's got to be something that could be actually maintained. So, can you maintain it for a long period of time? Does it look like you could? And specifically the bottom point, which I think some people get caught up in, is make sure that the aquarium is large enough for the adult size of the fish that you're keeping. Don't put in there juvenile fish. Most of the judges are very knowledgeable on fish as well, so they will know that you're putting in, a fish that's like an inch long and it's going to grow like 12 inches long. Okay, they're going to know, and then they're going to say that that's not really viable. It's not a viable habitat for the fish long term. And the Dutch they care a lot about the plants, but they also care about the fish and just making a full ecosystem, sustainable tank. It's going to be sitting in their living room for years, so it's got to be something that makes sense. Any questions about the rules? So there's a lot here, and there's more if you want to look a little deeper into it, but this is kind of like the guidelines and the judging, how they look at it.
I do have one question about the fish. Do they take account the size of the fish, not like its maximum? Like, say you have angelfish in there.
Yeah.
That are like the size of a small plate. Is that a negative to the aquascape? Would that be
Well, I mean, then your tank's going to have to be pretty big.
Yeah, like 75 gallons.
It might need to be bigger than that. It's not like real rigid to say what's appropriate size and what's not. I mean, that's always kind of been one of those things that's a little subjective, right?
Yeah.
But for me, angelfish, 75 gallon would probably be the minimum. I'd think it'd be like a 6-foot tank. Because you're going to talk a school. So now we're talking a dozen angelfish.
They look at it that way too.
Yeah, because the angelfish are technically schooling. They're cichlids, but they do have like a school of them.
It's sort of stylized as what it would be if you looked in the water and saw this perfect planting, but are the fish in relationship with the plants, and they all match? You can't have Oscars with moss. Angelfish would be in a deeper tank with a lot of room to swim around. Discus would be a sort of hiding tetras are out in front or swimming around. They look at the whole picture, how does it relate to each other?
But what I was asking mainly was like the size of the fish.
The size of the fish.
Like blocking the view.
Oh, blocking the view.
Would you look at that as a negative?
I don't know if that's. When you take photos, you got to be careful about where the fish are. I don't know if I've really heard so much like, okay, that's like something the judges have commented on. Okay. But I think if you have a lot of fish, a lot of large fish, they're going to dock you points somewhere else probably. It's going to be probably this last one. They're going to say the tank's too small. I have not seen angelfish used a ton in this style, but I have seen it a little bit, yeah. So I think some of those large fish could be probably a little challenge. You gotta have a big tank, Any other questions? So there's a lot of rules here. You don't have to necessarily master all of it right off the bat, but the Dutch style is not for everybody. If you don't like a lot of rules and there's some of it's rigid, but you kind of know what's going to score well and what isn't going to score well. It's a little more black and white. So if you're someone who kind of likes black and white and you really like focusing on plants, this is probably the style for you. So kind of talking about that, creating contrast in a plant grouping. So how do we do this? There's several ways. The easy way is using different types of color. Okay, so like I was saying, like flashy plants, put a red plant next to a green plant. It contrasts really well. That's easy. But you can't just fill up the whole tank with like lots of red plants and orange plants. We got to vary the leaf type and size You can also create contrast by different heights in the groupings. You know, for example, I think it's Mariophyllum over on the right, that orange one. It's taller. And then we got, I don't know what well, basically it's taller than everything else. But you can see how it's like varying heights for adjacent groupings. So this is my percentage, and I've heard other percentages similar. So like 25 to 35% would be like colored plants. So those would be like the reds and oranges and everything else. And the rest of it should be green. So the majority of the tank should be green, light green, dark green, different types of green. And you know, just one like key point, the Dutch style is about moderation. So moderation, the number of colored plants, moderation, number of streets. You don't want like 10 streets going everywhere throughout the tank. That's not really what the style is about. Moderation, number of focal points. Generally, like if it's a 3-foot tank or smaller, it should have just one. If it's a little bigger, it can have like a major focal point and a minor focal point. So how do we go around designing like a layout, and how do we actually do this? So first off would be like the size of the tank. Okay. I would say if you want to be serious about competing, you're talking about like a 4-foot tank. So 65, 75 gallons, if not bigger. You can go smaller, but because of that rule on how many plants per inch, it gets more difficult if you go smaller. You got to really then focus on the plants with much smaller leaves. Really, some of these really dwarf mini types of plants. It will get a little bit more challenging, not impossible, but it will be more challenging if you do a smaller tank. Most of the ones who do well and score well are probably like around 4 feet. You know, some like 75-gallon aquariums, 120-gallon aquarium is a little deeper. That one's a good one I've seen as well. So then a lot of people will create kind of a sketch layout. So this is the layout and sketch I did for my tank. You want to kind of determine where your focal points are going to be. So I decided to do, which is the easiest, probably is use red plants as the focal point. So we have the red tiger lotus, which is kind of in that rule of thirds spot in the aquarium. And then I have the AR mini in the right. So I have this tank was a 4-foot tank, so I can do a major and minor focal points. Varun?
Is this a top-down?
Yeah, sorry, this is top-down. This is not front. Ideally, if you want to do this, do top and front sketches. But traditionally, like, you need at least a top because you got to think about contrast, you know. And I tried to color code it, so I kind of like, okay, I got red next to green, make sure it's all spaced out nicely. Yep.
If you have less experience in terms of like how big certain varieties will get, is there a good resource for that?
Good question. I mean, it is one of those challenging things. Or like if you just say like, oh, I want to use an Amazon sword, which contrasts well with a lot of plants. But Amazon sword, you buy it, it's like this big, and then it's going to be like sticking out of the tank eventually. Some of it is timing. Like you got to know how fast the plants grow and how to trim them and try to. That's where some of the challenges are. Your question, I don't know, Balin, do you have any thoughts?
One of the places that they used to go to look for plant growth traits about what plants do was the Plant Finder on planettank.net, but that resource unfortunately was taken down. Go to Aquascaping. It's I think a German company. They have a pretty extensive list of different types of plants with their growth conditions and how fast they grow, how slow they grow.
The other resource I like is
Aqua, S-A-B-I.
The other one I like is FlowGrow. I think it's maintained by some people in Europe. That resource is pretty good too. There's other ones as well. But keep in mind some of those resources, they're sometimes written by a small number of people. It's kind of like their experiences with the plants. Yours might be a little different. But it gives you a really good starting point if you're not experienced with like that type of plant, or you want to be like, I want to get into this genus of plants. I don't know anything about it. Then you read it and find out, okay, it's not what I want to keep. So yeah. And then you want to think about what will be along the back glass, because that back glass is important. So you're kind of like have a couple options. Like, are you going to put something on the back glass or not? That's your two options. I decided not to, because it was going to be like an extra level of complexity, and I didn't want to try that. But there can be some pros and cons to doing that. And then, like I said, your layout with the contrasting plants, and then the streets. Like the hydrocotyle was a street, Lobelia cardinalis, and maybe you could argue the aramini, but that wasn't really so much my thoughts.
Is it almost always a black backdrop?
Yeah, so if you're gonna, it should be at the very minimum black background. Yeah, I would say normally you're gonna do that. I'm trying to remember. I've either in the past painted the back of my tanks, or you need to put something back there that's black. There's a couple options we'll talk about. Any other, yeah?
Do you typically not want to repeat a group of plants?
Yeah, so that's probably somewhere in the rules it's listed. You can't repeat the plants in a grouping. You could do, say, 2 different plants in the same genus. Like I could put let's see, did I do that? Yeah, I did. I have 2 different hydrocotyls. This is Hydrocotyl tripartita, and then the pennywort is different hydrocotyl. But you can't repeat plants unless you're using something that is going to be either attached like hardscape, like moss. Moss doesn't count, or like on the back walls or side wall. So like if you put all 3 walls, the back and sides the same moss, that'd be fine. But not the groupings that are like in the substrate, if that makes sense. So like moss, I would say is kind of like separate. So.
I can't think of the name of it, but they build a fake wall in the back and they put plants in it. Is that allowed?
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll definitely talk about that, yeah. Any other questions? So yeah, you make a layout. It's not going to be exactly perfect. You're probably going to massage it a little bit, but just to kind of give you an idea when you place the plants, which plants do you need? What are you doing? So here's my submission from 2017. So I was pretty proud of it. I think it turned out pretty well. There was some things that I feel like could have been a little stronger. So before we kind of talk a little bit more about my tank, what do you guys all think about it? What's some pros? What's some cons? Thank you. What's cons though? What do you guys think maybe I could have done better? I mean, you can just throw out ideas. Varun, what do you think?
I think there's a little spot right under the red lotus that maybe could have been filled in.
Okay.
Behind it.
Yeah, behind it. Yeah.
So like back here maybe?
Yeah, like maybe another plant species or something.
Okay. What else do you guys think? Anything else? Yeah.
I guess my question is just using the tiger lotus, because to me eventually that's going to have leaves go to the surface.
Yeah.
And that doesn't look long-term sustainable at that height.
Yeah.
You just planted it there, took it from a shallow tank, planted it there, and in a month it's going to have tall leaves.
I think that's a valid point. Probably a lot of these plants, they get pretty big. Tiger lotus could take over this entire aquarium if you don't trim it. It was trimmed a lot. When I did get it when it was very tiny, this really, really tiny plant, and then I grew it out to here. But I think that's a valid point. You got to be careful, like which types of plants you're using. I think if you could trim it and keep it kind of contained, you're going to be okay. Most of these plants, I mean, are going to fill up the tank going to grow pretty aggressively eventually. I mean, this hydrocotyl I was trimming like once a week, every other week. This Myriophyllum in the back, I would pull up all those stems 2 or 3 times a week and plant them again. That's how fast they were growing. They're like growing multiple inches like a day. It was kind of out of hand. I like Myriophyllum, and it's great to use for Dutch because it creates great contrast, but it grows so fast.
By the way, I think the Corys are a nice selection.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I thought was maybe switching the Myriophyllum and the hygrophila right side. Is it the hygrophila seems to be very in there.
Yeah. So let's see. So let's talk a little bit.
Erectus was too symmetrical.
The groupings a little symmetrical.
Yeah, like you have layer 1, layer 2,
Yeah.
layer 3, very
Yeah.
straight curves.
So let's talk about a couple other elements of the Dutch scaping, and then we'll see like what did the judges think of my tank. So just want to talk about curtains first. So on the left here, we have some valves. So this is like one of the curtains. So like I said before, you gotta have the left and right glass covered. So the valves was covering me up on the left, and this hydrocaudal pennywort was covering me up on the right. So this kind of like frames the tank and then basically keeps those side glass covered. Next, we talked a little bit about streets. So I got the hydrocaudal street here, and that helps to create depth, right? It's kind of like going down and wrapping all the way to the back of the tank. And then I had this Lobela cardinalis kind of doing the same. And AR Mini, kind of like a street. Then there's terracing. So terracing and landscaping, you use like soil and retaining walls and things like that. In this, we're talking about like the terracing of the plants, like different heights, and they're going back. And then the focal points we talked about. So red tiger lotus was my main focal point, at least. And the focal points, it can be a little subjective. Hopefully, most of the room thinks the same thing. That means you kind of had a success with your focal point. Red is easy to use. Larger leaves, they tend to use more of like larger. And then it'd also be kind of on that rule of thirds point, kind of third of the way through the tank. So that kind of my major focal point, and then the AR Mini was my minor. At least that was my goal. And then fish choice. So, you know, I chose these fish. So I don't know if you can tell. There's this Corydoris, Harlequin racebora, and then there's, I forget which type these were. They're pencil fish up at the top. Is there one Beckford? No, the
It's not the Beckford.
Those are red, right? Yeah. So basically, I tried to use a little bit smaller fish, and I made sure I had the schools. And then one of the things big with the Dutch is they want to, and this I learned about even when I first got into aquariums, is like use all layers of the aquarium, have the fish have their own kind of like level. So the pencil fish pretty much always stay at the very top. The Harlequin racebora pretty much mid-water, and then the Corydoris are at the bottom. Not that they don't ever like, you know, go up or down a little bit, but for the most part, those three fish will keep, you know, maintain different levels of the water column.
Hatchet fish would have been nice at the top too.
Yeah, hatchet fish are nice too. This was a rimless tank with no lid, and I put the water extremely high at the end.
So you started with hatchet fish, but they were all...
No, I purposely decided not to do hatchet fish. Plus, I kept hatchet fish before. I want to do something a little different. I haven't kept pencil fish before, so... but hatchet fish are also commonly used as well. Yeah, they're a good one. Someone else have a question? Or so the next kind of bullet point is like, this is for me a recommendation: grow easier plants, or at least ones you're comfortable with. Because if you're going to be struggling the whole time doing a layout and submitting for competition, and like you can never grow the plant well enough, it's just going to hurt you the whole time. So grow plants you're comfortable with. Don't go, you know, shooting for the stars on some plants you've never grown and you know are really difficult. Traditionally, the substrate in a Dutch layout in the Netherlands is gravel, like 100% gravel. It may look like gravel. This is not all gravel. This is mostly aqua soil, actually. I put the front glass gravel, and then I have most of the tank in the back is aqua soil. All the plants are in aqua soil, pretty much. And then I sprinkle a little gravel on top of the soil to make it give the traditional look, but I'm more comfortable growing in soil. I like soil, so I got kind of the best of both worlds. So I kind of like ended up sort of capping the aqua soil. If you look really closely, maybe like Varun, you were talking about back in it, where that lily is, you can see the soil right here, and then you can see it maybe like right here. I probably could have done a little better job covering it up, but you know, unless I point it out, people probably don't notice. And then here's one thing to keep in mind. This is kind of a trick. So to help you determine about the contrasting, what we call is the squint test, or what I do sometimes instead of squinting, I'll put the layout, like a picture of it on my computer screen, and then take a bunch of steps back or zoom out a lot. So it should be pretty easy to tell the contrasting between the groupings. If you're like struggling, then the judges are going to struggle too, and you're not going to get the maximum score on contrast. So really, really good Dutch aquascapers have really good contrasting. That's like the skill set you're going after, creating that contrast. And I would say that's where I was probably lacking a little bit. I think over in this corner, this looks a little, there's Java fern, there's a hygrophila. This is that hygrophila siamensis, what is it, 32B or something? And then I got the pennywort. It just gets a little crowded and a little bit all like just green. And I think I lost it in this corner a little bit. So yeah, that's one way to kind of assess contrast. You can like squint with your eyes, or I find that a little hard to do all the time. So take a picture of your tank. And then lastly, like it's important to celebrate your work. Like I was really happy with the results of what I did. But on the other hand, I mean, I was also already, before I even finished it, I was already thinking like, what could I have done better, taking notes, what could I improve on? So be critical of your own work, especially if you want to compete. Also solicit criticism from other people. Like send it to other people, ask them, what do you think? What could be better? And don't just say, oh, it's a really great layout, you did a great job. No, really get them to tell you what needs to be worked on if you want to improve at this. So I ended up getting 3rd place that year. So let's see what the judges' comments were. So first off, they said, well done on the fish. I think that's one area that I did really well on. Not everybody really nails the fish. One can see the individual groups of plants and they appear in good health. However, the Dutch style points are important. The lotus is very well placed in this respect. The Alternanthera on the right is now drawing too much attention. So what he's saying is, I think, is that my major focal point is good, but my minor one is a little too strong. And I agree. That red is pulling the eye a little bit too quickly to this bottom right corner. And that's not really, so that's where it's tough sometimes. Maybe I needed a plant with some color, but not this bright of color. AR is really bright red. That's why we all like it so much, right? Okay. And then they said the overall impression of this tank is it's a bit too neat and needs a bit more variation in the heights. So I was like, oh, too neat. I spent so much time trying to make it so. But you will see in some of the Dutch layouts, you know, some of the groupings are a little, they're not so perfect, okay? And changing the way you're trimming things or letting it be a little bit, maybe even slightly overgrown is okay. You can create contrast with that too. So if you have like a really neatly arranged grouping next to one that's like maybe a little bit more, a little messy, maybe a little overgrown, that's not a bad thing. It could be a good thing. So that was one judge. And then the other judge said, another excellent example of this style of aquascaping. This plant species were chosen well. Contrast is good. Everything looks healthy and beautiful. Okay, so that's my tank so far, what the judges said. So Bart Lawrence had reached out to me. He was kind of like my mentor in the Netherlands. And he said, can I'm redoing my website. I'm going to put a big article about Dutch aquascaping on there. Can I use your tank and can I critique it? I'm like, yeah, sure. So here's what Bart said about my tank. So here's like the plant groupings just so you can kind of see what he's talking about with the numbers. So he says he has a very nice tank, but his group 5 and 11 look a lot like each other. So this Pogostemon erectus and this Myriophyllum look really similar. And the challenge with that, they're not next to each other, but the challenge is it makes the tank feel a little bit too symmetrical. Like if you draw a line right down the center here, it's kind of like mirror image a little bit on the right or left. And that's another thing with the Dutch style you don't want. You want to like really work hard not to create symmetry.
Out of curiosity,
yeah.
He gave you some mentorship when you were picking plants. Did he notice that, or was it that too late in the process when you started talking to him?
So when I met Bart in person at the AGA convention, and I went there and I handed Bart this layout, this exact piece of paper, and I said, Bart, what do you think? And he's like, it's pretty good. Most people don't come to me with a layout already, so this is a great start. And with Bart, he tries not to tell you too much. If you're completely off track, he's going to tell you, but and he says you got to really focus on your own creativity and make it your own. So he didn't want to give me too much here. He had a couple ideas, small points. Maybe it became more apparent when I actually had the photo and the tank laid out that these two plants, especially how they're placed, like almost perfectly centered, was going to look a little bit. Sometimes you don't pick up on these things until later on. So what he had said was, why don't we switch out like group 11 for something with like a larger leaves? So Nomophila stricta, hygrophila, one of the hygrophillas, something else, which I have a hygrophilla in here, but I think, yeah, if I had like another, something with a larger leaves, there's lots of fine leafed plants kind of in the back here.
I think 11's perfect with a different color green.
Yeah.
I disagree with that. Change 5 before 11.
And then he said the size of the groups at the back could be different. So I have like all of them are like the same height pretty much across the whole back. Leave more space between the groupings. So maybe I'm a little tight here in some spots to create more suggestion of depth. So, but with those ideas, I could do a little better with my depth.
I think one of the things they talked about in Dutch is having distinct spacing between each of them.
Yeah, and that's hard.
It is really hard.
Because the plants, when you plant them, they're all spaced out really nicely, and then they all grow up and out. And how out are they going to go? So then you got to like trim and adjust. This grouping right here, kind of at the last minute, I pulled all this up and redid it, and as well as the AR Mini. These ones, these were like touching each other, like on top of each other here. So I had to create this gap, recreate it. It was already there when I planted, but these plants just grew too much. And some of that comes with experience though, is like how much are these plants gonna grow, and you just gotta try to keep on the top of the trimming, and don't be afraid to like adjust your plant a little bit. You can't just leave everything there and just say, I hope the judges don't notice. Sometimes you got to make some changes.
So how can you have different sizes of plants if you need to cover the whole back wall?
Yeah. So, I'll talk about that. So my glass, it's this is like black at the back, but there's nothing on the back wall. There's nothing attached to it. It's just glass. So we'll talk about that in a minute.
Instead of that AR Mini, how if you had put like a bronze cryptocarine?
Yeah, I was thinking like a brown plant, like something with some browns, or Hygrophila araguaia that has like a brownish, something with a little bit more, some color, but more milder color. I didn't use any really brown plants. At least to me, I don't see anything that's really brown. So I think that's a good idea. Like use something with some browns, brown, or kind of like a more, not green, not red, not orange, something kind of more toned down color. And the good Dutch aquascapers, they use like every color. Browns and dark greens. They're really focused on some of those other colors. It's easy to use those red colors, Okay, so Michael Miller gave me this photo for his submission to the AGA back in 2023. So here's some of his self-critique, which I think he did a great job. But here's what he thought about his tank. So he said his biggest thing he needed to work on was the fish count and species count. So he had a lot of different mid-water species. He felt that was too much. Didn't use the proper top and bottom dwellers. Okay. He felt like he was kind of struggling with getting a good photo and freezing the fish and keeping them in focus. Still, he's struggling to do that. He needs a clear image. It seems to be never to be mentioned, like how to do that. How did the top Dutch aquascapers get such a good image with such a long tank? Because his is pretty big as well. He just felt like he's still a novice, even though I think he could get second place. So he did a great job. But so that's what you got to do, though. You got to be really pretty critical of yourself and try to figure out where did you miss a point or two? How can you improve on that for the next time?
No good photographer would.
Yeah. So Marvin helped me with my photography. That's maybe why it's so strong. But photography is hard. It is difficult. So this is Tim Gross's 2017 submission. Okay. It's pretty good, great contrast, streets, everything. He did a great job. Here's the plants. And what's really interesting is, here's what really is really amazing about what he does. This is all U.S. native plants and livestock, the animals. Everything is U.S. native. So that's even another level of complexity that he had to try to manage. He had such a shorter, much smaller list of plants to work with. But still, I think he did a great job with the contrasting and creating the groupings and everything. So that's his 2017. He has all these plants here. These are all U.S. natives. Then he has red shiner minnows, Mississippi grass shrimp. So instead of a mono shrimp, he's having to track down these guys. And then olive narite snails. So it's almost like biotope and Dutch kind of blended together. He had to do it all.
That's just his thing.
Well, the most recently I think he did, he it's not a requirement. No, he just decided to do that, and it was pretty clever and challenging to do that. And then he did it again in 2018. So once again, all native. So I really liked how this layout came out. And here once again, so this time he used the southern red belly dace instead for the fish. But yeah, I think this was really creative to do.
And you got a good mix of color.
Yeah, I mean really, it doesn't even, you don't even notice that he's just using U.S. natives until you look at the plants and then look at the list and you're like, okay.
Notice he has moss in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Where?
There's moss in this tank. He didn't use moss before, then he added the moss the next year.
And what's the foreground plant on the left?
This 12,
Yeah,
Sagittarius subulata.
okay. I guess I didn't see the 12 number, yeah.
It's hidden in the.
Yeah.
But the moss is green, but then the moss gets dark very fast, and so it really just deadens the back of the tank.
Yeah. So here's the other thing too, which is challenging is, so he used, where is it? 12, actually, where is it? Here we go, this grouping here, this is Didiplis deandra. Now in lower light, shorter, it's gonna stay green. And if it gets taller to the top of the tank, it's gonna start getting some yellows or maybe oranges. So that's gonna totally change the color of the plant and the way he has to use it, the contrast. So he had to kind of know, if I put it here, give it the lower light, it's going to stay green. Because I'll tell you, if he would have got the yellows and oranges, look right next to it, then he would have gotten scored down. So that's challenging too. Not only the type, like what will the plant look with that amount of lighting? So yeah, this can get more difficult than it looks at first. At first it just looks like, yeah, you just place plants and grow them, and but you got to know a lot about plants.
And the shadowing is so tough. Like this lotus, there's 4 colors there that blend, but they're different with the contrast over the plants. And then you've got this arch over the top, and that shadow that cuts across. You know, there's a lot of subtlety with the light play. It's really, I only did it a few times and I gave up because you really just have to you got to have it in your head to do it. This is a classic one right here.
Yeah, he did a great job. So, we have another question?
Polycarp in front, doesn't that get really long? I've never really seen a picture of it growing out of the.
Which one?
It's
In this tank?
Yeah, polycarp can get humongous.
13.
13, yeah.
Oh, Ludwigia polycarpa.
Mini or something, but polycarp, I thought that gets like really big and like 5 inches across.
Yeah, so I mean, he kept it well trimmed.
Yeah,
He probably
it looks really good.
topped these plants and replanted them like many times while he was doing this.
And boxed in by the wood.
Yeah. So here's an element of wood, but minimal. There's one piece of wood I think in this tank. He didn't do like, there's not like wood here and there, and it's not nature style.
It's a fence between the streets, and it's a classic way to do it. You don't overdo it.
Yeah. Is there another question, Varun?
I'm not sure if you're going to go over this later, but how do you pick the types of lighting or like the color temperature?
So I would say so here, you see how this greens contrast pretty well? Okay, I use some of the same plants or similar plants. In mine, my greens look a little too similar to me. Part of it is the lighting. I don't want to blame the lighting, but it is partially the lighting. So you want to have lighting that creates good contrast in the greens. That would probably be the main thing I would focus on. That can be challenging to find a good lighting to do that, because some layouts just look better, with the contrasting.
A lot of the traditional Dutch aquascapers use T5s.
Yeah.
So you can mix and match colors. So using like a far red, you can get more of the red contrast, and the greens will pop out a lot more.
Yeah, I would say from my experience, that would be the most important thing. You gotta focus on the greens, create contrast in greens, because you gotta put green next to green, and that's how we're gonna make them look different. So next we have Joe Harvey's submission. This is from 2017. I think this was a really great layout. He got first place this year. And Joe submitted multiple times to the competition and scored well many times. The reason why I kind of wanted to highlight, besides just the fact Joe did a great job, was that in this tank he showed about the back and the side walls and different other things you can do with it. So he's got moss, but he's got some other things as well. So let's talk about how he does this walls. So he uses like a mesh, plastic mesh, and there's different ways you can attach the moss on there. He recommended using like a plastic, like a thread. He doesn't like fishing line. He doesn't want cotton because the cotton will break down. So something that'll attach the moss well. So traditionally, you will see most of the Dutch aquascapers use only moss, the main thing they use. But you can also use, which Joe used, is hydrocotyle and java ferns and bucephalandra, and he's used all three. You can also, I don't know who else had the question, you can also use like an artificial background. I haven't tried that, but sometimes they'll do it as well. They'll just do these like backgrounds that look kind of like, I don't know, it looks like, it looks kind of like a bark almost. Like it's really dark. It's like black or dark brown. But you can use something like that as well to cover up that back glass and create some depth and texture. Possibly, yeah.
That's a heck of an expensive back wall with booths.
Yeah, luckily the booth is,
Plant, so.
yeah. Luckily booth isn't as expensive as it used to be, but yeah.
You said he wasn't using fishing line, he was using straight?
I think this might be fishing line, but he said he doesn't like fishing line. It's just, fishing line is a little bit more, you can see it easier underwater, and I think he just decided he doesn't really like fishing line.
I think I remember talking to him about that, is that with the light in the photos, you sometimes get reflections off the fishing line.
Yeah.
It screws your photos.
Oh, he also said when you're tying knots, it's easier to tie it really, make it, make the string or whatever tighter when it's not fishing line. Fishing line doesn't really like give, you know? So he said it was easier to tie when you're not using fishing line. So here's his tank as well. Just kind of start with his boosts across the top. This is, one photo of his tank. The reason I chose this was just because you can see this java fern. So this is, which is this? This is a narrow K, I think, one of the more recent java ferns. It's real compact java fern. So he has it attached to the back. It's not like down in the substrate or anything. It's on the back. And then kind of here shows early in the tank before the moss has grown out, how he has it. So this is how you do those walls, or how you cover them, or some ways you can do it. So I think Joe has really kind of perfected that technique.
This is the first tank that I've seen lift tubes or filtration or anything.
Well, you're going to either cover them up, or most people are going to pull them out for the photo.
Okay.
So this is just him. This is him showing, like, this is not the final submission, so he doesn't mind about that right there. But yeah, I mean, here's the tank. They're probably were there in the back left corner at some point.
That bark clay is amazing.
I don't see them anymore, but yeah. So I was talking about the Dipitopus deandra. There's that Dipitopus deandra, right? So now it's yellow. It was green before, so that's where it gets challenging. All right, next, let's talk about a couple of Omid's tanks. So Omid is also submitted to the contest at least a couple times I know of, and he's done really well. He's really nailing the technique here. I really like the contrast of the plants, the color of the plants, the health of the plants. Everything looks really great. Really like this back wall he's got here.
Is Aquasoil?
I think so. Yeah, I think he's using Aquasoil. I believe Joe uses Aquasoil too, usually.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
So as far as judging, I mean, if you want to use Aquasoil, that's fine. If you want to use gravel, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, gravel probably isn't going to get you so much points to use it, but I wanted to be as traditional as I could with the way it looked.
So are there fertilizer tabs in the gravel?
So yeah,
Just
they will.
liquid fertilizer in the water? Or?
They're going to be probably mostly water confertilization, and then potentially some root tabs. They use some kind of traditional stuff like some clay balls and different things, so yeah. but they don't generally use aqua soil. They've been doing this like decades before aqua soil was even in existence, so they can't figure out how to do without it. But I mean, I like aqua soil, let's use it, but you don't have to use it. Okay, and then this is one of Vin Cuddy's layouts. Vin Cuddy is one of the judges. Now keep in mind, this is a 180-gallon aquarium. So, and Vin's fantastic at growing the plants. Now this was not a final layout submission. You can see, I believe this is Barclaya. It's not grown out. Some of his groupings probably would need a little bit more growing out or trimming over here, you know, but just to kind of highlight another fantastic example of, you know, kind of Dutch. Like I said, he wasn't finalized here yet, but I think it was really on the way to be a really great tank. And it's pretty impressive to maintain like 180 gallons to this level.
Plants
And
are
is that
really
just a
big.
what?
Yeah, the plants are really big for a 180.
I think, you know, the plants are really healthy, so I think they're really big.
We zoomed in or something.
Yeah, I mean, these are some big species too. I mean, this is like, I think, Limnophila gigantea. This is like the big Limnophila. And this is a big Ammonia species. I don't know which one this is, but yeah.
Yeah, you know, room like a fertilizer, it just grows.
Is that just a black glass in the back?
Yeah, I think he just has black glass in his tank, yeah. And then this is aqua soil. So that's Vin's 180. And then you guys might remember Sohan, who was a member here for a number of years before he moved. So I was helping Sohan as well with his layout. And back when Sohan actually did complete this and submit it to the AGA competition, and Sohan back then was 16 years old, so I think this is a fantastic job. Sohan was pretty limited on timing at the end, kind of ran out of time as far as growing out some of the plants and trimming them. Also, this is a 55-gallon aquarium, which is more difficult to work with. He's only got like, instead of like 18 inches or more, he's got like 13 inches of depth, and he's got like a lot of height. So you can see here where it's a struggle to get your plants to fill up that whole back here. So, you know, and you know, his fish were whatever he could work with at the time, what he had. He wasn't going to pull fish just for the photo. What?
How old was he?
He was 16 when he did this one.
Yeah, sounds right. 'Cause he's like 23.
Yeah, so he did a great job with this. The contrast is very good, I think. He was right on the way to be able to submit this. He just kind of ran out of time. But and then this was 2023 AGA submission. I think this gentleman is from the Czech Republic. I really like this layout as well. Just fantastic job with the contrasting. Just everything about this was really nice. Yeah, back wall is great. Lighting is great. Everything. Really nailed photography as well.
Did he mention what the moss was back home?
This one?
Yeah,
No, it's on the AGA though. We can find out potentially if it's on there. They don't always list the moss because the moss is not really like, it's kind of like just the background. Like it's not really the focus. So sometimes they don't really. Or they'll just say like moss. They don't really, so yeah. So sometimes you don't know what moss. Sometimes you don't know what moss they use.
I'm kind of curious what that plant up in the far left is. Is that, I think,
This?
a new hydroponic species that's been.
Yeah, we can look this one up.
Yeah,
That-
it's
we
been
don't
going around
have,
in Europe.
That should be, yeah, that's one of the nice things about the AGA competition is you can go on there and for the most part, the plants are listed. You might have to look up a little bit and figure it out, but most of the time the plants are all listed in there except for the mosses, but yeah.
So my mind is lagging a little bit, like 12 slides back, you're talking about that moss. Yeah, I know. The moss wall.
Mm-hmm.
Does he sew it in and then have it flat and just have it grow flat for a while and then just for the competition, turn it vertically?
I think it's on the back wall the whole time and then he's trimming it. Maybe if there's some spots kind of like not growing well, maybe he'll go in there and try to fill it in a little bit. My guess is too is wherever there's like lack of light, there's probably not a lot of moss, but you can't see there. So it's basically like wherever there's light and wherever you can probably see, there's probably good growth. You know, I bet you at the bottom here, if he even has moss at the bottom, it's not really, it's probably not looking as nice as it is up here.
I've tried to grow a moss wall before. It's not as easy as it sounds.
Yeah, just the moss wall alone
Just
is
trimming
fairly
alone,
involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The stuff gets everywhere.
That's why I'm wondering if doing it horizontally.
Oh, yeah, just
For a
put it
while.
up for the.
I'm sure someone's tried that, yeah.
And then water, if you're, depends on the water flow, it'll push it one direction and.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's gotta be trimmed a lot.
Just
Like
the trimming
Joanne said,
alone.
it's, It's like if you turn on your vacuum cleaner and have a bag in there, the
Yeah,
dust is
exactly.
everywhere. The dust is everywhere.
Yeah. So I think this is the last of the AGA submit. Yeah,
Hygrophila odora. in the back left.
Adora. Okay, that's cool. We'll have to look into that plant.
It grows very,
So we don't
very
know.
fast.
AD or OD?
Very fast.
This is another harder to find hygrophila too. I think, is this balsamica?
Yeah, it's a beautiful plant.
Yeah, this is, some of us got this one and it didn't look like this, I don't think. So,
Joe's got it.
yeah. So, I mean, sometimes the challenge is you gotta track down some plants and really find some diversity of plants that maybe you don't have. So yeah, I think this is the last of the AGA submissions. Then we're gonna move into some of the Dutch masters, I would say. Some of the ones that are like really from the Netherlands.
These all need CO2?
I would say all of these tanks are grown out with CO2. You're gonna need that kind of competitive advantage. You could probably do a Dutch layout without CO2. I think it could be done. It's just gonna be harder. Yeah. I mean, plant health is gonna be a high priority. So the CO2 is gonna help and give you more variety of plants to work with.
I'm still back on the moss.
Yeah.
If you're not using fishing line, what can you use, like is there an aquatic glue?
I would usually use like a, if you don't want it to dissolve, like a polyester thread. And if you do want it to dissolve, you would use like a cotton based. They also have like a blend between the two, but I usually use like black or brown thread. And then it just depends if I want it to dissolve, like, because it'll break down in a matter of months. It'll start to fall apart.
But there's no glue that could be used.
You can use glue, but I wouldn't.
Okay.
I mean, you can, we've talked about before, you can use like super glue, the gel type. I haven't seen that done. I wouldn't recommend it. The challenge with the glue too is it dries white underwater. It can be really obvious.
Anytime you press down on the moss against the glue, you see the little white spot.
Yeah.
It's not great.
When I was in the Midwest Aquarium, the European guys would use surgical suture.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And that, if it's not dissolving, it stays there and it disappears.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that would be really expensive to get a hold of that.
So I use a type of synthetic fishing line that's not the clear type. I forget what it's called, but it's extremely durable. It looks like cotton thread.
Yeah.
And it basically doesn't break apart.
It's black.
It can be black, it can be all kinds of colors.
The other thing,
Super, super durable.
if you use the cotton thread, sometimes if that starts to come apart, it can get pulled into your filter. So it's a little risky to use the cotton. Sometimes I use it though because I want to remove it later on and have it easier to remove. But yeah. All right, so this is I think the last of the AGA submissions. Then we're going to move into some of those Dutch ones. So let's start off with Bart Lauren's tank.
Wow.
So this is his 2018 submission, and no surprise he won first place. So yeah, I mean, this tank is so big, I mean, it's like hard to even get on the screen. It's like, it's so wide.
Was it 10 feet?
So yeah, this is a 10-foot aquarium. It's 3 meters wide, 10 feet. So even that in of itself is pretty impressive. And then to look at the quality of the plants and he was able to maintain the Dutch,
How high is it?
I can't remember. We can look it up later. It's probably like I want to guess like 18 or 20 inches tall. It's probably like 125 gallon dimensions, but it's like 2.5 125s then, I guess, like lined up. I think is, and the furniture he has. So yeah, like I said, 10 feet.
What fish.
Is it Icornia Azuria on the right there?
Yeah, I believe
Yeah.
so.
Really good short.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see 'em
A lot of times they'll use like community, what you call like community fish. So like, you know, Raceboras, Tetras, different things. They'll use other things too, some small cichlids, Corydoras. I mean, variety of fish, whatever they want to keep, but nothing big usually.
Has he ever discussed with you how much time?
Yeah, I asked him about that. So one thing too that the Dutch usually do is they do use CO2. Okay, one thing, they've been using CO2 longer than everybody. I mean, there's some other people in Europe, Germany, maybe the UK, some other places where they're using CO2. They don't use tons of CO2, they don't use tons of fertilizer, they don't use tons of light. So the whole tank slows down a little bit. So I think that does help with the maintenance, but I think no matter what, he's spending a lot of time maintaining the tank. Now, keep in mind, it probably doesn't look this great at all times. This is when the judges came, this is competition. But still, just keeping up with this at all is going to be, it is a lot of work.
I just remember the time you were putting into it. And that
Yeah.
tank was twice as big.
Yeah.
What the temperature is on something like that?
What'd you say?
Temperature.
I would assume in the 70s, I mean, for an aquarium, and usually tropical fish. I can ask him. We'll find out. I don't know if he heats it or what he does, but
I found it interesting when he was talking about this, that the judges don't just judge the tank. They judge the environment around it and how that all integrates into the aesthetics
All the
of
wood
that.
carvings.
Everything. Yeah, it's like all part of that.
yeah.
Yes.
They do.
How organized it is underneath there.
And not to get too down by raffle, but every one of those carvings, there's differentiation in height, and they're almost all equally spaced apart.
That's true.
Not that I would notice that.
That's a good point.
Nobody thought about that.
Yeah.
And they're all tribal carvings too.
This is another one of my favorite Dutch aquascapers, the NBAT submission. So these are all the Dutch masters. Mostly these are bigger tanks, like 6 foot, 100, 200 gallon aquariums.
Yeah.
You know, 8 feet, 9 feet,
That's
7
what you have
feet.
to go-
Yeah.
you have to go to that neighborhood.
Yeah, you got to get kind of big if you want to go. You want to win. 4 foot probably isn't going to cut it over there to be the master.
Are they redoing their tanks every year, or it's just an evolution?
They sometimes do it more than every year. I mean, some of them are like it's pretty. They're always thinking about a new layout and adjusting and everything. So I mean, yeah, it depends.
He's got orange plattings at the surface, I think.
Yeah, I think he does.
That's a nice touch. It's different color.
Then here's another one of his tanks. This one I really like. And what I really liked about this one was, okay, so this, I believe, is Pellia. So you can only imagine how long he grew out this huge like street of Pellia, and it's on the hardscape. It's on a piece of wood. I think I've seen pictures where he had this tank at different times and how he set it up and broke it down. And then he's got the red tiger lotus, but I really like he's got this other street and how they kind of like cross like this, and then there's this open spot that creates this depth, almost like a cave. I thought that was really pretty creative. He's just got great contrasting.
And there's space all around. There's space all around the spaces, you know.
Yeah, and then you can see where. Now here we go, like a brown crypt. I think he's got here. It's got like every color: dark green, light green. It's got the curtains. You know, sometimes they'll use a Ludwigia as a curtain. So you can use red. You don't have to use green. It's a little less common, but. Here's another one. This is from 2015. Yeah, using this, like I said, this brown type of crypt is pretty common.
With rainbows, bet.
Yeah, it's got. You can even do rainbows is reasonable. Yeah, definitely you could use rainbow. I only see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, these are females though. These are the same species, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 8 I can see. So there could be, I wouldn't be surprised there is a dozen of those
Another one in
rainbows.
that dark corner, like facing straight on,
Yeah, there's probably a dozen in there. It's just hard to see them.
But you also don't want to have too many for the size of the
Yeah,
tank.
you gotta have it. Yeah.
So they're
So that impacts, like if you get a little bit smaller tank and you need to have at least a dozen fish, maybe you're not gonna pick rainbows because rainbows are a little bit bigger. So you got to think about that fish choice. So this one, I also really like this one. This tank, if I remember, this one's even bigger than 6 feet. I forget how big. It's like 7 or 8 feet or something. So he's got this Otelia here. It's a little harder to see, but here he's got wood with, I think, Physidens moss on it. And then also here, and then here. So he's got probably 3 pieces of hardscape, 3 pieces of wood, but it's all got moss attached to it. He's got moss wall. I think he's got some Java fern back here. Really great contrast. I really like this street. I thought this was really creative. Got this street and then right in the center, kind of like splits and goes around. I think it's probably some Ludwigia or right here. He's got some rams here, other fish, probably some harlequin, some ricebor, or maybe they're pretty small. I don't know what those are. Some tetra, yeah. So I think some people had commented. They said, "Oh, this is a little overpowering. Maybe it's a little much."
Yeah.
Kind of interesting. He had this layout in 2014, kind of back to someone else's question, and then 2015, it's almost the exact same layout. He did a little tweaking, and then I just wanted to show this because just the furniture as well that's around the aquarium. It used to be like a wood tone. He painted it like gray, just to change it up. But you can kind of see, like, I mean, the quality of the plants and the contrasting of the colors and everything. I mean, it's all spot on. I do agree, though, this is getting a little overpowering, especially like the next year. It's like, it's a lot of Physidens. It's like a...
But you know, it's obnoxious, but everything is so neat and trim. This thing
Yeah.
just comes out like, you know, it's like what's the name of Center Street pops out of the garbage can, you know?
Yeah. I think that's just one of the things where, like, you know, maybe you took a little calculated risk here. Like, let's try this moss and let's really make it a more significant element to the tank.
It was like a teddy bear.
Yeah.
You're right.
You know, maybe some people like it, maybe some people don't.
Just attach it onto a teddy bear.
The plant on the very far right, is that an Aponogeton or?
This one, this might be a Cryptocarania. I don't know.
Spiralis or Cryptospiralis?
Yeah.
Cryptospiralis, I mean.
Crypts can be difficult to work with because it's going to start small and then get big, and you're going to like think like you're going to trim it or maybe pull it up at some point or whatever. Like, that can be a little challenging. I like to use crypt as a curtain because then it's like if it gets longer, you're okay. You could trim it a little bit if it gets a little too much, but putting this like smack dab in the middle of the tank somewhere, it's going to be harder to manage. But yeah. And then last, we have another one of Bart's. This is his 2015 submission. So yeah, Bart, he can do this pretty consistently. So it's pretty amazing. There's another one of his layouts. And then here are all the other additional resources. And the presentation should be on YouTube today. So if you guys want to look at any of this. So that's the NBAT website. Here's the AGA's. This is the Aquascaping competition website. Bart Lauren's website, which is in Dutch. So you will need to convert it, translate it from Dutch with Google or something to English, unless you know Dutch. But yeah, it translates pretty well. You can read it. One of the articles on there, the one actually about the Dutch style, I believe he wrote it in English. So, but most of the website, he's got a really great website. Just check it out. It's pretty cool. And then Vin Cuddy's got a really nice article on the AGA page right now, which has some great information. He really went into a lot of depth, even more depth than I did in the presentation, and really like dissecting his own tank and then other people's tanks and talking about the pros and cons. And then Vin's also written several times for the AGA. There's their periodical they put out, the Aquatic Gardener or tag. So I think the most comprehensive article is a 2019 article that he did, but he did some other ones as well that are a little bit older. But he did a lot of great publishing as well. So check out those resources. And there's other resources online too. There's a lot more online now than there was before. Before it was like, it was a bit of a mystery on how to do this. So, any other final questions? Any thoughts? Anyone inspired to do Dutch now, or? Yeah.
This is probably more of a strategy for, I guess, when you're in competition. But the main thing is the time frame that you have to do.
Yeah.
And you mentioned obviously earlier that they ran out of time. Being more modern now, would it make more sense to actually have like grow-out tanks with all your plants set up, if you have the room, obviously? But like, if you knew you're going to have 20 species, just grow them at all different levels, and then.
Yeah, you can do that, or even like sometimes like, okay, so I know, let's go back to my tank. So I'm trying to remember what happened exactly, but this Java fern, right? This is Singapore Java fern. I had something else there. I think it was like narrow leaf or something. It just wasn't looking good. So like the week of, I went to Joanne's house and grabbed this Singapore Java fern and dropped it in the tank because I was desperate to find something. Joanne had a nice one growing on a rock, and I just dropped it in there. You know, so.
Did you tell her you took it, or did she find out later on?
I don't remember that.
Joanne, so sometimes you got to figure out if somebody's got some plants, or you do have multiple tanks. So this layout has 15 species of plants. It started with 35, and I was just trying to play with new types of plants to see what can I consistently grow, what will give me the look that I want, how will it behave in my tank, what kind of color will it look like, you know, because a bunch of plants I had never grown before. And then I was slowly either getting rid of plants or take them and move them to my other tank. I think if you have an immersed setup, then you can like really collect a bunch, because you only need a tiny bit. Like I want to use this plant, you pull it back into the tank. You know, I mean, a lot of the people in the Netherlands probably are friends, and you know they can trade plants back and forth, and just like we do too, right? So, I think, but it is challenging. There's a lot of plants. Rich?
So this was 8 years ago roughly that you did this.
Yeah.
Do you foresee that you would ever consider giving it a try again?
I want to. It's a significant time commitment. It's not like you can just be like, I'm going to throw this together this weekend and then it's good for the photo. It's multiple months in a row of really being on top of it. I think also once you kind of like competed at a higher level, your bar is set really high for yourself. So that's the challenge I have, is like if I go to do it, I'm trying to beat this, and this was already hard enough. So trying to beat this, you know, is going to be challenging. And then just, you know, this was a 65-gallon rimless, okay? So it would be tempting to try to go bigger, but that's even going to be more difficult. Like a 6-foot tank would be awesome, but it's a significant time commitment, I think. You have to be like consistent on it. Like growing plants is one thing, but then growing plants competition level, that's another. You can't let things get shaded out. You can't come back and be like, oh, all my whatever melted and I'm starting over. Like if you do that at the last minute, the last week or two, you're SOL. You're going to have to be scrambling to figure out something else.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would like to, but at some point, yeah.
So I noticed all those pictures, the bottom is flat and level. Is that a requirement?
Oh, okay. So most of the time, the substrate is pretty flat. Mine has a slight slope to it. Maybe at the front, it's maybe like 2-3 inches, and at the back, maybe like 5 inches or something. You don't see lots of big slopes and varying like substrate heights so much. Yeah, and then something maybe I didn't mention is like for the substrate, like the front line. This was one comment Bart had about my tank that he told me. So originally I had like these plants like all like really straight across the glass. They're really, they should not be touching the front glass. Now, I mean, if you got like one leaf touching the front glass, the judge is probably not going to be able to tell that. But you shouldn't have the plants touching the front glass, and then their front lines should be very staggered a little. So Bart was like, you know what, yours aren't really staggered very well. And I'm like, okay. So I think it was, I'm trying to remember. I know I cut this out better, and then something else here. Maybe it was this. Something I adjusted the front line a little bit. So you should have some empty spaces in the front, a little bit.
Trim those streets to stay low to high to get perspective, or is it just the camera angle?
Yes, you do angle this. So this is surprisingly difficult because this likes to float up. So this hydrocotyle is pretty high up in the tank. It's almost like a little cloud back there, and you gotta just like gently trim it and kind of keep it. Every once in a while I had to kind of like squish it down a little bit. It probably would have been easier maybe to try like attaching that to hardscape, like maybe it's a wood or something. This was a challenge, especially that back area, and it just keeps going out constantly. But yeah, it could be challenging. This is all, I think this was all in the substrate, just varying heights.
Yeah.
I had to pull all this up pretty close to the photo, maybe like the last like 2 or 3 weeks. All this got pulled up. I had to respace this, adjust the height a little bit. It probably looked a little bit, it looks okay here, but it probably looked a little bit nicer before. The plants looked a little nicer, but then I had to adjust it because I knew I was going to get dinged for points if I didn't kind of play with this a little bit. Any other questions?
No, but thank you for that. I figured out cyanobacteria, so I think I could do this.
One more question?
Yeah.
Varun?
How do you figure out the cropping? Because I noticed between like your photo and Joe's photo, there's like a different amount of like the reflection kind of being shown on the top. And
Yeah.
do they like take that into consideration when they're judging the layout or not?
So I mean, some of that is also like your camera angle, which I mean, Marvin can speak on probably better than I, is like, where's your camera? So usually, you know, Marvin, what do you think? I mean, where do you usually position your camera?
It looks like Joe's is shot from a little below.
Lower. So he's a little lower down versus mine.
Was like at the middle.
And it looks like it's like sort of a wide angle. We may have a filter or a box on the lens to kind of crop it.
Yeah. When I took this photo too, the water is almost about to spill on the ground. Like it's so high up. Because this tank, it's not a 75 gallon, it's a little bit shorter. So I was struggling a little bit at the top there to really give myself enough height. So, and I really wanted to try to like get as much height as I could so I could give a little more varying heights. So yeah, that's a good question. I think that comes up with any aquascaping is like cropping and the camera angle and all that. And I mean, Marvin can comment, like in Nature Style, they've been using that top surface and like you'll do like tricks, like they'll use like a little fan or a hair dryer and like ripples on the top of the aquarium. I don't think that's so much of the focus with Dutch Style. I think that's just there, you know, but yeah.
Are there any rules about the leaves can't be out of the aquarium? You know, like Amazon swords, the leaves will go out, or umbrella palms.
I don't think there's a rule specifically touching on that. Granted, I would, if they can tell that your Amazon sword is like half out of the water, I don't think that would be really aligned with the style, I don't think. I mean, you know, maybe that's like a little bit more like a biotope or something, but like this is more about submerged, you know, immersed growth. Yeah, I would say there isn't, I think somehow the judge is going to comment on that. Somehow it's going to come back at you somewhere.
Okay.
I haven't really seen people try that. So, yeah.
So was this photo taken kind of late in the day? Because I can tell that the microfilm is a little bit low.
So what we did was, so this was kind of a long day. So we went to Robert Steinbach's for the tour. And then right after, Marvin and I coordinated to come over and do the photo. And one of the challenges too is this tank, when it was all gassed up, it pearled a lot. It was almost like too much. You could see like the pearling in the photos and stuff. So the trick was we fired up the lights and then without the gas, without the CO2. And so, yeah, by the time we took all the photos, I think you're right. Some of these plants were getting kind of the point they were kind of done for the day. Because it was already, it was like probably at night because it was like dark out by the time we got all these photos. So yeah, and the CO2's off. So I think these plants are kind of shutting down a little bit here. Just the photography alone is difficult. Pulling off this, the Corydorus all at the bottom, and the Rasabora is in the middle, and these guys at the top. Because if you spook these guys dive. And then sometimes the Corydorus, they like to do whatever they want. Right back, they like to swim. They don't always stay at the bottom. They like to do whatever they want. So I have to scare the fish, but target the scaring to only these guys and these guys. And I can't scare these ones. So Marvin, what we take? Like hundreds of photos? Hundreds of photos. Pick which one we like the best. Yeah. Yeah. So if you have any other questions, just let me know. But yeah, that's kind of how the style is.
For how long after the competition do you maintain?
Yeah, everybody always asks that. I wanted to think that I was going to keep maintaining it, but I was pretty tired by then. Months of maintaining the aquascape like the best I can. It was kind of done. I mean, yeah. Unfortunately, it kind of ends up being like that sometimes. I mean, and some people, some of the competitive aquascapers that I've known, like, as soon as they get the photo, that's the end. I mean, it's kind of a shame because it's at its best. Maybe they maintain it for like another month or so, but like, they're also ready to move on. They might also already be thinking about what's the next layout, and they might also have some sketches. So they might be ready to move on.
Tear it down or just let it grow?
Well, they might be. I mean, they might be just tearing it down, or just letting it go while they're kind of starting to work on the next plan. Getting their hardscape and figure it out. Because I mean, a lot of people, they might have one nice tank. They're not doing many tanks because they're focusing on one competition tank. So they'll tear it down. They'll start putting the hardscape in there, whatever. The Dutch aquascapers tend to be a little bit more like continuous. Like this is in their living room. It's like part of the family. Like it's part of their furniture and all that. This is like their thing. They do the competition. They probably ramp up and really focus at one time of the year. But I mean, I've seen it, like they maintain these at pretty high level like all year long. It's kind of shocking how good they are at it. But yeah.
Geez, that amount of gracilis over there is amazing.
Yeah, and this AR Mini Street. I mean, this is like, I don't know how many stems of AR Mini that is. It's a lot.
Well, thank you, Scott.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
All right, we're gonna do the raffle.
Just stop recording.
Yeah.
Everybody want to go take it?
There's a few
You wanna
people
hand me
getting
the
a little
Who needs to take it hold of your hand?
That worked out real nice, actually. I could hear it all.
Almost good.
Yeah.
All right, just real quick, there's a bunch of stuff up here. I want to thank, a lot of them are from CCAM. Thank you, CCAM, they're one of our great sponsors. Looks like API stuff is up here too.
they're also ready to move on. They might also already be thinking about what's the next layout, and they might also already have some sketches. So they might be ready to move on.
Tear it down or just let it grow?
Well, they might be. I mean, they might be just tearing it down, or just letting it go while they're kind of starting to work on the next plan. Getting their hardscape and figure it out. Because I mean, a lot of people, they might have one nice tank. They're not doing many tanks because they're focusing on one competition tank. So they'll tear it down. They'll start putting the hardscape in there, whatever. The Dutch aquascapers tend to be a little bit more like continuous. Like this isn't their living room. It's like part of the family. Like it's part of their furniture and all that. This is like their thing. They do the competition. They probably ramp up and really focus at one time of the year. But I mean, I've seen it, like they maintain these at pretty high level like all year long. It's kind of shocking how good they are at it. But yeah.
Geez, that mnemonic Priscilla's over there is amazing.
Yeah, and this AR Mini Street. I mean, this is like, I don't know how many stems of AR Mini that is. It's a lot.
Well, thank you, Scott.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
All right, we're gonna do the raffle.
Just stop recording.
Yeah.
Everybody want to make a ticket?
You wanna hand me the mic?
We need to take a hold of your hand.
That worked out real nice, actually. I could hear it all.
All looks good.
Yeah.
All right, just real quick, there's a bunch of stuff up here. I want to thank, a lot of them are from CCAM. Thank you, CCAM, they're one of our great sponsors. Looks like API stuff is up here too.